Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dvorkin and I'm a managing partner at 4D Capital. Today is September 25th, 2025, and we're going to be talking about Merck. Merck is going to be one of our 52 mega cap stocks as well as a fast mover, and it's going to be a very interesting forecast to see the bottom coming up and then a surge higher. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. First, I wanted to introduce myself and the work that we do. We basically specialize in one-of-a-kind mathematical work that allows us to predict the stock market and individual stocks in both time and price. We calculate the market in three-dimensional space, and when we do, perfect order emerges. And on top of that, we've developed a number of very powerful timing indicators, and when we combine them both, we can essentially predict what the overall stock market or individual stocks will do in both time and price, as I mentioned earlier, and we can typically do it on multiple time frames, whether it's long-term or short-term, doesn't really matter. So I believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies. Our firm's goal is to identify stocks that will 2x, 5x, 10x going forward. So we are essentially looking for the next NVIDIA, Bitcoin, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, and so forth. And we can do that with the help of our very powerful software that we've developed over the last couple of years that allows us to calculate pretty much everything in three-dimensional space. It takes, for example, the entire S&P 500. It uses our calculations to calculate it in multi-dimensional space, projects it into the future, and I'll explain today exactly how we do it with, as an example, using Merck. And we're looking for very important bottoms for those stocks. And from those bottoms, we can project well ahead or well into the future, not only where the bottom is going to be, but how much higher the stock is going to go subsequently. And not only that, by what period of time. So we are, of course, looking for the best opportunities that have the highest probability of a turning point working, and then highest return on investment, and then within the shortest period of time. And that's how we essentially identify these stocks. So let's take a look at the Merck, what it says. But before we do, Merck is going to be one of our new fast movers. And just to very quickly kind of introduce the concept of a fast movers to you, fast mover is a stock that will appreciate or depreciate significantly within a relatively short period of time. So we typically say 50% or more, increase or decrease within 12 months or less. And this particular chart is a very good representation of what I'm talking about. Let me get a better view of it. So what you're seeing here is what we call cycle composites. So the bottom cycle composites are responsible for the bottoms, and top cycle composites are responsible for the tops. And this is a very simplistic representation, graphical representation of a very complex mathematical concept. Once again, we scan the chart in multidimensional space and we pick out these cycles or composites and we project them into the future. What makes matters even more difficult is that there are typically multiple composites running in any given stock or the overall stock market. I typically use Dow Jones as an example. So Dow Jones has two bottom composites and two upper composites running at the same time. But if we combine them together, we can very closely replicate what we see in the two-dimensional time and price chart. But for the purposes of a fast mover and explaining what it is, what we found over the years is that when there's a major cycle, let me put it this way, when there's a short period of time, typically 12 months or less, between the major cycle top, as we see here, and the major cycle bottom, as we see here, that's when a very powerful move typically happens in the underlying stock. Or as an example here, a major cycle bottom and the major cycle top. This one has to be adjusted graphically a little bit, but nevertheless, that's the point. So when there's a short period of time between these 2 points, that's when crashes occur, and that's when stocks surge to, well, not necessarily all new all-time highs, but that's when very fast increases in value for any particular underlying stock takes place. So that's the fast mover. So let's now take a look at Merck, and we're going to be able to see what's going to happen going forward. So what you see here on the chart perhaps doesn't make a lot of sense to you, but I just described the cycle composites here. The lines you see on the chart, just very briefly, I'm going to mention it, is cycle clusters. Once again, very simplistic representation of a very complex mathematical concept. But once again, we scan the charts back, and we calculate the cycles in three-dimensional space, and then we project them into the future. And what we found over the years is that typically turning points happen not when any particular cycle arrives at any given time, whether it's short-term or long-term, but when there's a multitude of cycles arriving at the same time. So if we have 4, 5, 6 powerful cycles arriving on at the same time, that's when an important turning point will happen in the market. And of course, as we move down in time frames, the smaller cycles play a much more significant role in those smaller oscillations. Let's put it that way. So the cycle composites basically get us into the neighborhood, let's say plus or minus 2 trading months, depending on the size of the cycle. And cycle clusters give us an exact date of when any particular top or bottom will occur. So in terms of Merck, we are currently moving in from this, as you can see, cycles have been working perfectly, but we're currently moving into this mid-cycle bottom, as we call it. And as you can see, it is scheduled to arrive in middle of 2026. So we have quite a bit of time before that happens. And once that particular bottom is put in place, we anticipate Merck to increase first into middle of 2028. That's when we anticipate a significant move higher. I'll talk about in a second exactly where we're going to bottom and how far higher we're going to go. So, and then subsequently it's going to increase into this particular top, which is scheduled for much, much later. This is a very long-term chart, as you can see. So, the question becomes, where is it going to bottom? So according to our calculations, by the way, let me just mention it very quickly. I don't want to give very specific numbers in this forum for various reasons. But we do have a 30-day free trial associated with our service, no credit cards, no strings attached, none of that. So if you want to see the exact targeting and what we're doing, as is the case here with Merck, I do encourage you to request it. It's absolutely free. Just click on the link at the bottom of this video, or in the description of this video, I should say. So around $60 is where we're going to see the bottom for this particular stock, let's say in the middle of next year. Once that bottom is put in place, the stock is going to surge much higher into this particular mid-cycle top, which is scheduled for middle of 2028. Okay, so let me show you yet another representation of what we're talking about in terms of being able to not only identify the bottom, but how far higher the stock is going to go going forward. So as you can see here from the chart, this is yet another three-dimensional representation of our work. It doesn't make any sense to you, but it makes a lot of sense to us. So what our software is able to do is, I just want you to think how incredibly powerful this is. It is able to project exactly where the bottom is going to be. That's where this particular line that you're seeing, that's the bottom that I was talking about, $60 plus or minus a few bucks. And then it is able, from that particular bottom, it is able to project the next move in both time and price. And that's how we're able to find those stocks that will 2x, 5x, and so forth. So as you can see in this particular situation, it is identifying this bottom, and then it's projecting that it's the stock is going to go most likely into this region. So if we click on this, it is approximately, let's say, $225 a share for the top projection. And if you do your math correctly, that's quite a bit of return, over 300% within a relatively short period of time of, let's say, approximately 2 years. So that's pretty good in my book. But for the people who are interested in this particular stock and what it's going to do going forward, I think that provides a very clear answer of what we anticipate to happen. So as of now, we wouldn't be interested in the stock because it hasn't completed its downside projection, and the distance between what the price is today and what the downside projection actually is very, very minimal. So there is no short opportunity. But for the long opportunity, we have to wait for that time and price juncture to align, give us a very clear bottom, as I specified earlier, and then that's where you make most of your money. You take a position, a long position in this particular case, and you ride it up, from $60 a share approximately to 100, 200, 250 bucks a share within a relatively short period of time of that mid-cycle top that is scheduled to arrive in middle of 2028. So that's Merck. That's what we anticipate to happen with it going forward. So a couple of announcements very quickly. Don't forget to subscribe, of course. We're going to start a very, very interesting series over the next couple of days, probably at some point next week. It is going to be called the Countdown to Armageddon. Believe it or not, our mathematical work indicates exactly when the nuclear exchange between Russia, China alliance and NATO will take place. So I'm going to start talking about that. The good news is we still have a couple of years left. The bad news is, well, it's unfortunately most likely going to happen. So that's coming up. I mentioned that we have a free trial associated with our work. I do encourage you to request it. Link at the bottom of the description of this video. And finally, we have a webinar coming up tomorrow. I believe it's 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So during that webinar, we talk about our mathematical work, how we calculate the market in three-dimensional space. We also talk about or showcase our software. We discuss what the overall stock market is going to do going forward. We typically shy away from that particular discussion for our own purposes. That is our bread and butter. But in this particular forum is the only forum where we discuss the overall composition of today's stock market and what it's going to do going forward in both time and price once again. So I believe people will find it quite interesting. I think we still have a few spots left. It's only limited to 10 people. We're going to be try to do it every week going forward. But if you have time, please join us, and I think you will really enjoy it. Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day ahead, and we'll be back with another analysis tomorrow. Bye-bye.